In this video, we're going to look at how to add two integers together. This starts out similar to when we're multiplying and dividing, and then it takes a little bit of a twist. We still have to ask ourselves, are the integers, are the signs the same, or are they different? But then once we've answered that question, that will lead us to what to do. When the signs are the same, you're simply going to add the two numbers together looking at their absolute value. That means ignore the negative symbols if there are some. After you add them together, then you're going to give your answer the same sign as what you see in the problem. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the first example, because the first example I see that the symbols are both the same. They're both negative. So now I think absolute value, that means I ignore the symbols right now and just do the 7 plus the 4 because we're going to add them together. Well, 7 plus 4 is equal to 11. So therefore, I know part of my answer is 11. Now I give my answer the same sign that was used in the problem. Well, in this problem, the signs were negative, so the answer is negative 11. If my signs would have been both positive, I would have left the answer as positive. Okay, now let's look at an example when the signs are different. When the signs are different, you're going to subtract. You're going to again look at absolute value, so you'll ignore the symbol and you'll subtract largest minus smallest. Then your answer gets the sign of the one that had the largest absolute value. And I'll talk about that a little more in our example. Okay, so let's look at the second example. Signs are different. One is negative, one is positive. So I know I have to subtract. So I ignore the symbols. I think, what is 2 minus 1? Okay, 2 is largest, so I would do 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So I know 1 is part of my answer. Now I think, which one of those two is largest? Ignoring the symbol, I'm not thinking symbols, I'm just thinking these absolute value numbers. 2 is larger than 1. So I look in the problem and I find the 2, here it is, that had a negative sign, so my answer gets a negative sign. Negative 2 plus 1 equals negative 1. Now what I want to do is show you why it works out that way. Negative 2 is the same thing as having two negatives. Positive 1 is the same thing as having one positive. That negative and positive pair right there neutralize each other. We say they zero out. So now you can see when that happens, I'm just left with negative 1. That's why we do the subtraction when the signs are different, because we're getting rid of the pairs that neutralize each other. And then by looking at which one has the largest absolute value in the beginning lets us know what symbol would be left over in that model.